Hello, everyone. How are we all? Hopefully, everybody's doing well. Make sure that's loading in. Decided today to go back to a game I've not played on stream. I've played it in my own time, but a game I've not played on stream for a while. 'Cause I love cleaning. Well, in this game, in reality, not so much. But it's not the way it always goes. Okay. I need to check on how loud the game is. Because it's been a hot minute since I last played this. It's great. Isaac loves this game. But he likes to kind of like where the little loading bar is, he kind of thinks that if he if he runs it along, runs his finger along, it makes it go quicker. And it's like, baby, it doesn't work that way. But like, that's cute. Thank you for popping on love. So yeah, I am doing this one that I had already started. I figured I might as well finish it off and then we can have a look at something else. There we go. Whee! I figured I might as well go back to a game I've not played in a very long time. As you can tell, I've played this game more than a little bit. So I have everything purchased. I have every bit of what's it called? Let's look at the shop. I have every washer. They haven't got a different one. I have every piece of equipment. They've not added any new ones. I have every bit of cleaning liquid. And I have every bit of clothing, and I think I have all the mods as well. Yeah, and I still have 37. Which basically just tells you a little bit more of how much I have played this game. A lot, but it's fine. I love it. That is very loud. I may have to turn this down because I have a feeling this might be a bit too loud. I just yeah, that's about right. That looks a bit better. Welcome back. Thank you. Thank you very much. Yes, needed to take a little bit of a break. Some stuff had kind of went off at work, and I just needed a bit of time to kind of get over it. Just have a bit of a weekend to myself. I took Isaac to a nice little play park, which was really cute. Oh, it was absolutely heartbreaking though. So I told him that we were going, and there's like a chain of them, and we went to the one that we normally go to. Got him out of the car, got into the main entrance, and there was a birthday party there. Now, when it comes to their birthday parties, ordinarily they'll either put a little note up to say we've got a birthday party up, so we're not open until this time, or they'll like put it on the website or put a sticker on the door. They didn't. They didn't do that this time. But I heard a lot of music when I was coming in, like really loud music, and like a lot of like there was some parents in there that were kind of giving me dodgy looks, and I was like, Okay. So yeah, I went to go pay, and they were like, "Are you here with the birthday party?" I was like, "Oh no, I already know where this is going. We can't go in." And they were like, "You can come in at like 11:30," and this was like an hour. I was like, "Oh no!" Like, okay. So I had to go take him outside, but bless him, he just thought I was taking him home. I was like, "No, I would never do that." He was very, very sad. And I had to sit there. I was literally like in the middle of the car park going, "We're not going home. We're gonna go to a different one." I was like, "We'll go to the different slide." And he was like, "A different slide." I was like, "Yes, a different slide." And then he went and caused chaos for a couple of hours, so it's fine. It was all good in the end. But it was just that heartbreaking moment. I was just like, oh, could you imagine being that cruel and like intentionally taking your child somewhere that they know that they can't go to, and then just being like, well, there you go. Like, he was just so sad. I don't like my baby boy being sad. It was fine in the end, though. Oops. He got there. It made me happy to know that I could take him somewhere else, and there was another slide, and he really likes the slide, and there was some other things that he went to, and all was right in the universe. The game seems a little bit juddery, and it's not my frame rate either. I wonder whether there's like a setting or something that's just a bit too high. Computer's struggling a bit, which is fair. We all struggle sometimes. I have to make sure I finish on time because I have a very busy week this week in relation to being on campus. I'm on 3 days this week. Busy week. Busy week. But I hope you all had a lovely weekend as well. Yeah, it has been. Now that I think about it, it's been a hot minute since I was last on. I think it was what, Wednesday, because Thursday I was out with work. I was invited. So we've been doing like a lot of collaborative work with like a different university. Because I helped organise a load of stuff, they basically wanted to thank me and took me out for dinner, which was really sweet. So that was Thursday, and then yeah, Friday that had all kind of kicked off in the morning. As I was off, so because I did actually have every intention of um playing some more Final Fantasy. I haven't played any Final Fantasy Rebirth since the last time I streamed it, so that would have been what, last Tuesday? been like a whole week. So I really need to jump back on that because I would quite like to be getting to finish it. I'm really enjoying Rebirth actually. I know that it's a weird one. Like some people really do not like it, and to a certain extent I can get it. Although some of the reasons people don't like it I find strange. Like some people, I'm presuming it's like people who, which side of the coin you fall. So some people are very, very, very strongly Cloud and Tifa / Cloud or Aerith. Like scarily so. So they have not been enjoying this game as much because they've basically said that they found Remake and Rebirth to be more into Clotey style. They tend to find that they are heavily, well, they found this game is implying too much that Cloud and Tifa are canon, and there was no evidence of that, and they are very much of the camp that Cloud should have been with Aerith. So they don't like the. It's like, oh, for goodness sake, okay. You gotta kind of leave people to it if that's their opinions of stuff. You can't change somebody's mind about something. Right, whee. Get round. I was like, you could, but the thing is with people like that, you could literally give them every scrap of evidence that you could imagine to be like, no, this is why Cloud and Tifa are a thing. And they'd just be like, nope. Nope. So you do kind of have to leave them to it. Oh, no, what is it? No. Oh my god, what is it? Why have I forgot all button prompts? What is wrong with me? Oh, for goodness sake. Honest. Yeah, there we go. But yeah, so I don't know. I'm really enjoying it. I think it's really good. I was watching a little bit of Cinema Therapy before we came up. If you've never heard of it, god damn it! If you've never heard of Cinema Therapy, I really recommend it. I do really enjoy like analysis into films anyway. But it's the reason that I find the two of them really fascinating is the fact that one of them is, so the two buddies been buddies for a very, very long time, and one of them is a professional filmmaker, and the other one is a licensed therapist. So basically, they will then kind of go and have a look at relationships, and they'll discuss where things go right, where things go wrong, little bits on films that you might not consider. And be like, hey, this is how they did this shot, or this is why they do that in this way. So I'm a nerd, so I find stuff like that really interesting. I always forget how heavy that sounds. Yeah, so I was watching a bit of that, and they were looking at Kung Fu Panda 2. Which doesn't see... Well, Kung Fu Panda 2 and 3, and it was primarily about, like, adoption. And how well Kung Fu Panda 3 deals with emotions, good and bad, tied into adoptions for both the adopted child and both sides of the parents. Probably should have done that a little bit further across. There. That probably would have been better. Ah. Yeah, that's another reason that I do quite enjoy their YouTube channel. Is for that reason. Like, they're not just two hacks that are just like, yeah, I know everything there is to know about this. Actually, you know, they do. they know exactly what they're talking about. Yeah. And sometimes it's nice to get a little bit of a different perspective of a film. Or just reinforce some of the viewpoints that you may already have. Sounds like that bird is like in my ear. Where am I? So I do know full well that that bird is in fact not in my ear. Oh, I knew you were going to be all interconnected. Oh, damn it. Yeah. bit of a sneaky. I did a little bit of a sneaky. I did a bit of a sneaky. So that implies that I've missed an absolutely colossal amount, and I really haven't. Do it that way, let's do it this way. Oh, I messed that one up. And apparently I'm in a rock. Hey. Ah, Come on, man. It's gotten so bad, my absolute freaking love of this game, that I have actually started playing this on the PlayStation 5 now. Okay. Nice. Nice. Okay. Feeling very snicky for some reason. Okay, right. Oh, thank goodness. The only problem with this one sometimes is that it is a... It was E. Do you know what? Why is it sometimes you can just completely overthink something and just be like, oh no, I have no idea what button prompts are. And then you get around to it, and then you're like, of course you know what it is. The moment you stop thinking about it, the moment you're able to do it. Always the way it goes. Always the way it goes. My main bugbear with Final Fantasy Remake, well, Rebirth I should say, because I don't think you ever really saw them in Remake, is the Moogles. They are traumatizing nightmare fuels. Like, what is that? That is not a Moogle. Like, that's a therapy bell, is what that is. But a Moogle, it is not. I don't understand why they would do Moogles dirty like that. Like, why are you doing Moogles dirty like that? What did Moogles ever do? Like, you've had these ridiculously adorable little things. I kind of gather, I kind of get it to a certain extent that, you know, the more realistic everything looks, the more you kind of need to put into it. So like the chocobos need to look more realistic. Like you could just walk down the street and find a chocobo. But they could have literally gone with anything for Moogles. They could have gone for anything other than what they did. But what they did was decide to, I don't even know. I don't even know how to describe the Moogles apart from an absolute travesty of nature. Like, who approved that? This is like the Sonic thing all over again. Like, who approved that? Who was like, yeah, that looks cool. I need to have a word with them. I just need 5 minutes. That's all. I just need 5 minutes in a room with them, with a picture of a Moogle, and I'll just be like, talk to me like I'm stupid, and explain to me what the hell you thought you were doing when you made this. Like, I need somebody to be good cop, bad cop with me. I imagine Lovage would probably go for bad cop because she absolutely hates. It's just kind of like I don't. I don't get it. I don't get their character design at all. I don't get why they've gone for like the most adorable little stray baby chocobos with little seed butts. That's just like, oh my god, this is the cutest thing, and more than that, you can pet them and you can squidge their cheeks. And then if you zoom in on Cloud, you see that Cloud is squidging their cheeks. And it's like, okay, this is wholesome, this is adorable, this is more I want in my life. And then they almost instantly then just go, right, okay, so now we've created this wholesome, cute little moment with baby chocobos. Let's create Nightmare Fuel. And it's like, but why? Why would you do that? It's like, literally, why would you do that? Why would you create such horrible Moogles? I don't get it. Someone let me know. What do you think of the Moogles? If you have you played a Final Fantasy previous to Final Fantasy Rebirth? And what do you make of the Moogles? If you haven't, if I showed you a picture, how surprised would you be of what a Moogle should actually look like, as a like in the other games, as opposed to whatever the hell Square Enix decided to do with that? They gave it teeth. I don't. It's the teeth. I think that's what it is. I think it was the same with Sonic. When they did the Sonic movie and they gave him human teeth, and it just looked really wrong. We managed to retcon that though. I think I think enough people kind of complained that they ended up completely redoing Sonic. But it's a bit too late for that one now, isn't it? It's a bit too late for the Moogles. They're out in the worlds as whatever the hell that is with the human teeth. I don't. Someone looked at that. Like, someone looked at that and went, nailed it. And I don't know who they are, but I need to have a chat with them. I just need 5 minutes. And a picture of a Moogle. It's fine. He'll come out mostly fine. Mostly fine. Well, the only problem with this satellite dish is the fact the edges of this are such a pain in the bum to clean. It's cool. I freaking love it. But it is a pain in the butt to clean. I've seen that they have done a Warhammer one. The next time I get paid, I'm going to invest in the Warhammer one. I've never actually played Warhammer. Hands up, I've never played Warhammer. So I genuinely think a lot of the references wouldn't mean anything to me in the same way that in the same way that like the Midgar or Seventh Heaven, even the Lara Croft ones. Again, I've never played a Lara Croft game, but I know enough of the game. Like, I know enough of what goes on to be like, oh yeah, that's the butler that you lock in the in the freezer. I do also love the fact that they reference that poor butler. Like, I know everyone everyone feels bad, but yeah. So, but then again, I did clean SpongeBob, and that sounds wrong. I don't know how to get out of that one, but yeah, I did all of that, and I haven't really watched that much SpongeBob either. Problem is, I'm too old. So SpongeBob came out when I had kind of given up with like Nickelodeon and kids TV in general. I was like, I'm too old for this. And then now I sit there and watch Bluey like my 3-year-old's going, and he's going off playing his own stuff. I'm like, I'm sat there crying at Bluey episodes, like, oh my god, you don't understand. It's so sad. They're selling their house. So it's fine. If only I knew then what I knew now. It's funny how you change your mind on stuff. Like, oh, yay. Like, I'm far too old for this. Several years later, I freaking love this. Oh, I forgot each one of these things is its own individual one. Oh my god, how did I miss all of that? Honestly. Right, is it? Oh, okay, now I can't remember. I think it is. Yeah, it is. So sometimes whenever you have something that kind of sits in between, so looking at the green bar in between these two bits, they'll actually cut that off and they'll have it as two separate bits. They have elected not to do it with this one. Which is fine. I get it. I get it. But yeah, so cinema therapy was really good. Like I said, if you've never heard of it, I do highly recommend it. Like I said, it's two very, very different and interesting takes that sometimes I don't think you get enough of. You know, you've got the behind the scenes aspect of it, of like, oh, here's how they do this specific thing. Like for Kung Fu Panda 3, they were talking a little bit about like stuff in the crowds and like how they do a lot of like crowd animations, and why specific bits, like that kind of insider bit, just brings attention to specific sections that maybe you wouldn't necessarily look at before. So they were when they were talking about like the crowd animations and stuff, or the SF or the special effects, they were like, I know what you're thinking. It's an animation. How can it have special effects? But it does. It has special effects, and they're actually really impressive. And this is the reason why. So I'm a little bit of a nerd for stuff like that. I enjoy people getting the recognition for stuff that they've worked very hard on. Or even just somebody appreciating or letting somebody know how much work goes into something. So it's one of the reasons that I love Harry Potter World, because they very, very much do that. They the whole thing about it is, here's everything behind the scenes. Here's how, you know, the food works. Here's how, you know, here's how they adapted in order to meet the requirements of things. So, you know, they were saying that in the first one, it was all food, and then the food, somewhat unsurprisingly, became nasty because it was out for very extended periods of time. So then afterwards, it's like wax food, so it looks real. But it ain't. And then they don't have to worry about rotting food on set. So it's things like that. It's things that it's looking at, like, lessons were learnt, how they were learnt. Was it in a good way? Was it in a bad way? The food was not in a good. The food was not in a good way at all. I like how they've learnt to make things a little bit more efficient. So like for Kung Fu Panda 3, because it's an animation, they were talking about how they have essentially programmed, um, well, certain ones. It's like an option for how they can do it. Because obviously they don't say for definite this is 100% how they did it, but here's how most people in the biz would shoot a scene like this, and either they're the same because they did this, or they did it a little bit differently because they did this, or they're completely like out of the blue because they didn't do it like this at all. So with that one, they were saying that basically the way they animated it was completely different, because instead of having, or at least in this one particular scene, because instead of having all of their background characters, no, I can't. So instead of having all of their background characters do completely different things, they actually had well, sorry, instead of having all of their background characters do exactly the same thing with exactly the same facial expressions, moving in exactly the same way, which, you know, works on things like, oh, there's a big crowd celebrating something, so everybody is going to be clapping, everyone's going to be doing, everyone's going to be happy, everyone's going to be, you know, moving towards the main character in like a well done, you did it kind of way. There was a bit where they actually went the opposite way with that, and they had two sets where one half of the audience were kind of looking one way and then changing, so they were kind of like ping ponging. Um, so they were like, huh, 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 huh. Um, and they were saying that there was like a couple of options that they could have done for that. Either it was um, individually done, and then at which case that person needs a raise, or that was like a higher up person who knew what they were doing and was just like, don't worry, guys, I got this. Yeah, I love stuff like that. They just also seem like really sweet people. Like people that would probably be an absolute pain to watch a movie with for that reason, because they would either be like, oh, this would make a really good thing for an episode, or you'd have to stop the movie every 20 seconds while they broke down either like a piece of like why a specific behavior is either good or bad, or, you know, how they did a certain part. I can't really say that because it was like more than halfway when I started this episode. This just shows you how big this is. Like, I was 53%. I haven't quite done an extra 20%, and I've been at this for about 40 minutes now. 40-ish minutes. It shows you how big this is. My 3-year-old also likes this. But the problem is, he hasn't quite grasp the concept of um, like a movable camera. So he would be, I think he would be a lot better on games where you can't move the camera. Because at the moment, he's getting better. Like he was playing he's playing some of my Genshin. He kept getting characters repeatedly killed, which was quite funny. Um, but he's starting to develop a I'm gonna go to that person and I'm going to beat them up. Like he is starting to get that. So you know he was 100% finding the nearest thing and just being like, "Hey, I'm going to mess you up now," which is pretty cool. Right. So now we need to do the edges. And you have to be so careful where you put this one. Because I think this is just the underside, so. There we go. Hey, there's one. Slightly easier on one side because it kind of naturally tilts. So, yeah, okay. I have definitely started with the worst side. Which, in theory, then means it shouldn't be too bad after that. Okay. Yep. And the thing is, as well, like, with this one, you kind of need to do the opposite of what you were doing before. Like, before, when you were doing up here, you had to be really close, because otherwise you were going to miss bits. This time, you had to actually go the opposite way. Let's do the hardest part first. Love the fact that fall damage is not a thing in this game, thank goodness, because yeah, if full damage was genuinely a thing, I would be in a lot of trouble. Yeah, I was going to say that. I did actually do that, didn't I? That transform. Okay, in theory, it should start getting a little bit easier now because I'm approaching the good tilt. Then after that, we need to do the top. Which means that basically one almost completed thing is it's actually going to be this entire friggin' episode. Hey, I don't care if I did. Oh, I did not move this far enough, did I? Not at all. That's annoying. Difficult to judge. Noise. So when I very first started playing this game, it's before they had the movable camera. So whenever you're doing it, it was like this, which some of you may have seen in What's Called. Whereas now, you can press a button and your camera can go all kinds of crazy, and you don't have to worry about it. I remember when they first introduced that, I hated it. I was like, I'm not using that. No, 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 no. And now I find it harder to go back. But weirdly enough, on a controller, it's the opposite. On a controller, I can't have it like this. I think because it's too difficult to navigate. And I think that was my problem. I think at the time, I was just still kind of getting used to using... I was still kind of getting used to using a keyboard and mouse for it. Come on. Well, that's going to be annoying. losing it. I'm losing it, chat. I'm losing it. This one is a really cool one to do, but it just takes so long. Yeah, that one's the last one, isn't it? Gadoosh. Game's freezing a little bit. Oh, that's going to be annoying. Because that genuinely looks like that's completely clear. So I can't even see anything on there that's like, hey, you missed a spot. Okay, this one I get. Yay, okay, that's one thing. Oh my goodness, right, so that one, that one, that's one. Thank goodness. before we go on to do anything else, let's make sure we've got everything. Nope, not that one. Full frame. Door handle's clean. I always forget up here. There we go. Pedestal door frame. Yeah. So before I move on, I want to make sure I've got everything here. And again, it's telling me that I'm missing something. I don't really see that. There's the door handle. You keep saying that, but where? Thank you. I don't know what I actually cleaned. I don't think there was anything there, but you know what? It's fine. Small ladder. Is that the small ladder I went up? Because I could have swore I'd completely cleaned that. I would. Oh, wow, yeah, I would be 100% mistaken. Really? Oh, my goodness. Right, and then, yeah, I think the rest of it will be on the top. Which I get to this way. The only problem with this one is you can't close it like you could the other one. Like there's one in Lara Croft where you have like a secret passage in the garden. And you could close that lid if it was needed. You can't do that for this one, unfortunately. Yeah, that's the okay. That's actually a handy thing because that door hatch can be a pain to actually sort if you're not careful. Come on. This hatch frame is not that freaking dirty. Oh, let's see, like, what is left? There is nothing left on this freaking hatch hinge. So the only problem with this one is that it is so difficult to clean, but for no obvious reasons. Like, that is clean. Like, there is nothing on there on either side that is going, oh yeah, by the way, here's a massive place that you've missed. That you could be like, oh right, okay, do you know what? Fair enough. It's one of the reasons that I don't do this one very often. Because it's a pain in my bum. Thank Christ. Oop, no. There we go. Alright. Stubby. And the thing that I don't get, right, is the fact that it is so generous on certain bits. Like, there will be certain... There's been certain levels where I'm nowhere near clean. Like, and it will be like, yeah, that'll do. Don't worry about it. Humongous sections. And then something like that, it's like, oh, you need to get that one freaking speck of dust before I will allow you to mark that clean. It's like, oh, okay. You want to be that guy? I'll clean it. Like, some of them you're like, okay, there's only like a few little tiny bits, I get it. And then others is like entire freaking sections. What you being particular about? What you being particular? Thank you. God, I forgot about the bits of friggin' rebar. I'm gonna have to do. See what I mean? It's like 1 hour and 7. I've just gotten over 20% more done. Coming up 30% more done. I feel like next time, if I do this again, I need to do the harder sections first. I just get them out of the way, and then because I always start the bottom, which is just so much easier. I feel like I should do the underside of the plate, and then the trims, and then the door. And then there's rebar stuff that's coming up, because that can be a bit of a pain. Because the thing is, like, I get it, but they've made it really, they've made it really intricate. And because basically what they do is they, when they program it, they program, I imagine, I don't know for definite, but like a layer of dirt that as soon as like water goes over it, it's like, yes, this takes away the dirt and you need to get this amount done before it's classed as clean. Sometimes it means that because of the shape of it or the shape of other things on top of it, it gets really complicated to do. And you end up spending all your time on little niggly bits. Which is, I imagine, why they put on the use your... How did they phrase it? It was... Oh, for God's sake. Oh, no, it's fine. There we go. It was like, use your intuition, which is basically like the tab. There you go. It was basically like the little tab show what dirt is left. Okay, you'll see what I mean in a second. This one can be very painful. Because you've got to be really careful with how you walk on here. Because otherwise, as you've seen, you'll just fall off the rebar. And then there's like this bowl thing underneath that also needs cleaning. If you can hear any noises in the background, it is Marco Buddha. He be asleep. And he's doing that little dreamy, like, thing. Which is hilarious and adorable when dogs do it. It's very satisfying, this. It's a very, very satisfying game. This receiver thing can be a little bit of a pain. Not too bad, I'm still on the... Let's get this out of the way. Yeah, so sometimes like this, the whole of this will be one thing. So like this entire thing, all of this is classed as a receiver. And then other times they would have like this is the like this part is the receiver, and then this part is something else that you need to clean, and then that's something else. I'm kind of glad that they didn't with this one, because this one, as I've said, can be a little bit painful. It makes me wonder about these actual pieces of technology in the world, and whether they do actually need like this level of maintenance. Or do they just kind of like go and hose it down? Oh my god. Thank goodness. Oh, it's fine. We're fine. We're fine. At other times, what they'll do, they'll name all three things the same. So the legs are individual. So as you go on to receiver support, you'll see that it says 1 of 4. Because there's 4 legs on here. I feel like they're a little unfair with this. Oh, yeah, I love the emerging backstory that comes out of this. That like all of this is to do with Alien. It's like the mayor is trying to stop aliens or something from interfering, and then actually it turns out the aliens are the good guys, and it's the mayor Oh no. No, I missed some stuff on the top, didn't I? Okay, right, ready. Yeah. Nice and slow, nice and slow, nice and slow, nice and slow. Ooh. No. Okay. Right then. We're nearly there. It's the last three things. I do love the fact that it tells you what the last three things are. And then obviously it counts them down. So if you ever get to a point where there are multiple things, like where it says large panels, and it just says large panels and there's nothing next to it, you've got one left. It took me a while to kind of realise that myself. But yeah. So it basically just means that, like, so every single one of these is called the exact same thing, like I said before. So obviously I have left all of this until last. So therefore, there you go. And then you can kind of see it tick down. I'm trying to figure out what that means. The bottom one. If you do also click on one thing, it will kind of like just flash up. So you can see... Let's see what the dealio is. Okay, there's one. Ta-da! Here's another one. This is 100% my go-to game when I'm either tired and I want to play something, but not something that I really want to concentrate on, or I'm stressed. Because it gives me the freedom of not tying me into something a little bit like aggressive, or if I mess up here, doesn't really matter. Like if I fall off something, it doesn't really matter. Like it's still gonna be there. If I rage quit, it's still gonna be there. You know, it's very difficult to mess up in Power Sim, and it's also like a visible sense of accomplishment. Like I can see it getting cleaner, and then you get like little satisfying tings when you're finished, like that. Never underestimate the power of a good ding. But yeah, so definitely, as you can see, a lot of stuff's been going off recently. So I've been playing this game a lot. I freaking loved it when it came out anyway. But and then I dropped it for a very very long time. And I was tempted to play like a zombie thing that I was tempted to play. I do still need to play it because I don't know how well it's going to stream. Well, as in like handle graphics and stuff. But that can be just something that we go for, and I can always play this or jump back onto Dave the Diver, because Dave the Diver is another game that I need to finish, because I started to get a little bit better at Dave. And it would be good to finish, because I unfortunately left my little fisherman in a bit of a spot. So I really could do with going back and saving him. Maybe that could be next Monday. Because the thing is with Dave, it's very, very similar with like Cult of the Lamb, in the sense that you know you have a thing there to get, but you don't actually have a story there to accomplish, but you don't actually have to do it. Like, I could sit there and barely progress the story and just sit there being the best goddamn fish restaurant that I could be. Which is interesting, so I saw an article. I didn't read it in the end. It kind of zipped off my off my list, and I couldn't find it again. Where it was basically somebody was saying that games need to move away from open world, and honestly, I don't really agree with that. I think it depends on the game, but I think a vast majority of the time there's nothing. So long as it doesn't get to the point where you substituted your main story for the open worldness. I very much feel like I suppose realistically the opposite. I'm kind of the opposite stance to do that. I feel like more games should have a little bit more open world to them. Like I said, sometimes it can depend. But personally, I love me a good open world. But it has to be done well. I think that's the other thing. Like, I've touched on this before, but I think one of my biggest bugbears with 15 was the fact that you just had big, massive, open spaces with nothing in them. Which made sense later in the game when everything had just basically turned to freaking hell. It was like, okay, well, there's not really a lot to do here because everything's dead. But when you were still very early in... Oh, come on. You see, like this? What the frig is up with this? There we go. So yeah, you end up kind of like fast traveling everywhere. Because it's a bit too... Certain ones make sense, so like Horizon Zero Dawn, that made sense to be as open world and with nothing a lot in it, because they were obviously re-emerging humans in a new world that was either slowly losing out to machines, or you know, the machines were just like, no, we've taken this area. And they were therefore like creating their own religion and restarting. So them having a little bit more of a limited play area was like, or like they didn't really have a lot in it, made sense to the story, because you know, you still saw ruins in places that you could go and explore, but there wasn't anything in there because these places were seen as sacred, and therefore you just didn't go there. but they still took the time to whack a couple of enemies in there, and oh look, there is a chest up here, or there's still an area that you can go and explore if you wanted to. But like, there's no, there's no like you absolutely have to do it. But yeah, so it made sense. Yeah, it was a bonus to go and explore these areas, not a requirement. And they kind of like stuck a lot of collectibles out there in these places as well. But yeah, for Final Fantasy 15, not so much, because like thinking about where I live, you would not necessarily go as far as you did in 15 in between towns and villages. So sometimes sometimes it can make it just feel a little bit barren. But I think we're getting there. Hey, I'm on my last trim. And then yeah, so I will be finishing up there. Don't worry, I'm gonna finish it. And then I will be playing Rebirth tomorrow. Back to 16 on Wednesday, because that's another game I've picked up in a week. And then it should be Rebirth again on Thursday, and then nothing on Friday. So I as well have a holiday coming up at the end of May, so there will be a period of about a week or so where I won't be streaming, because I will be holidaying it up with family, going to a place that I used to go to when I was a kid. So introducing my little dude to it. I'm quite looking forward to it, actually. And my parents have basically said that if he really likes it there, and if I'm okay with it, because he starts school in September, in theory. They've basically, yeah, he has his place, and it's up to us whether we send him now or we can defer it. Like he wouldn't be held back. He would still be. He would still, because the problem is he turns 4 at the end of next month. So it means that when he goes into school, he will be just over 4. Which he can't go into like year 1 when it's just over 4. He has to be over 5. But what you can do is you can either keep him in nursery for an extra year, so that's what they mean by defer your place, or you can basically just go for it. It is there. Hey, done. Took me, I did 47% of that, and it still took me an hour and a half. The satellite dish is a big one. But anyway, I am going to put my thanks for watching screen on. Thank you very much for watching, lurking, chatting, whatever it is you've been doing today. Looking forward to seeing you tomorrow for some more Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. But until then, have a fantastic rest of your evening, day, whatever time zone you are in, and I'll see you tomorrow. Bye!